it's Shireen Bishmaya in San Francisco. On the eve of Venus Day, we're about to have Venus Day tomorrow. It's almost midnight here in San Francisco. And I'm thinking a lot about this new ingress of Venus about to go into Pisces, which is going to start on Tuesday. So we're in this kind of interesting, we're in so many ways in this kind of liminal space because Jupiter's about to station retrograde, Mercury's about to come out of retrograde, station direct, and Venus is about to shift signs into Pisces on Tuesday. And then next Saturday, Mars is about to shift signs into Gemini after being in Taurus for the last 6 weeks. So you might be feeling a little bit like in a holding pattern, but like at the same time ready for the real spring energy to kick in. And we're so close to it, but there's just a little bit further to go before I think we really get that surge forward that we're waiting for. So, you know, we still have to be a little patient, but we do have a lot to look forward to. There's definitely this feeling of things shifting for the better, and it's been a little bit of a, you know, a clearing, healing, stormy time, you know, with the Pisces season that we're just coming out of. Chiron just leaving Pisces February 18th. That's still new with Chiron and Aries. I actually just did an interview with the Wild Witch of the West, who also lives in San Francisco, pretty close to me. We finally got together after several attempts during Mercury retrograde, because we're both archetypal astrologers, to talk about the Sun Chiron, which is also happening today. So since I already did a whole conversation on that, I'm going to devote this video to Venus in Pisces. But definitely check it out on my, you can get it on iTunes, my iTunes podcast, P40 podcast, or on SoundCloud. And we get really into all this healing with the Sun Chiron. But anyway, for now, I think it's more important to talk about this energy of Venus going into Pisces. Because Venus is moving into her exalted state. That's always a good thing. Of course, unless you believe there's too much of a good thing, which is also... That happens sometimes with Venus in Pisces because, especially now that she's going to be answering to Jupiter in Sag, I have a feeling the tendency to overdo is going to be quite strong. There's going to be a feeling of a lot of extravagance probably because Pisces knows no bounds and Jupiter certainly knows no bounds, and Jupiter in Sagittarius certainly knows no bounds. So that feeling of glamour and escapism might be quite strong, but it can also, if you use the higher octave of Venus and Pisces in her exalted state, it can be completely sublime, and it can be all about really putting our attention and devotion into our spiritual practices and the sublime arts. I've been having a lot of really interesting conversations with some friends recently about the whole creative process and how, you know, our spirituality and our longing for spirit really influences our creative process. And I think we're going to really feel that deep devotional quality of what we find beautiful in life when Venus goes into her exalted state in Pisces. As long as we don't devolve into some of the more escapist parts of Pisces, which can happen, or ways of indulging that make us unconscious, because Pisces can also be the negative side of the unconscious. It can be the creative side of working with your unconscious through dreams and through art, certainly music and dance. But if we don't have that outlet, if we're in a spiritual crisis, it can also be addiction and in ways that we use to escape. So we want to be mindful of finding those outlets that have that devotional or spiritual, whatever connects us to spirit. It's not religious necessarily, but what connects you to something higher, what feels like a mythic or archetypal or numinous experience in your life. This is what we're going to be craving once Venus goes into Pisces on Tuesdays for the next several weeks. So, and again, since she's answering to Jupiter in Sagittarius, you might want to look at where Jupiter in Sagittarius is in your chart as well to see where that sense of expansion and openness is really calling to you right now. And often that does bring up a lot of desire for travel, for expanding our horizons in many different, however we can find outlets for expanding our horizons, and sources of inspiration and truth and higher teachings, higher wisdom. That's the higher side of Jupiter in Sagittarius. Now, because Jupiter is an interesting timing that Jupiter will be stationing to go retrograde in early April, while he's kind of at that stuck point where he is right now, and basically all of April, he's not moving very much while he's stationing. So at the same time, there's sort of this call, I think, to internalize everything you've learned about Jupiter. Jupiter's recently, just recently went into Sagittarius. So we're just getting those lessons. So it's still new to us. So this is a chance, I think, to really integrate all of those teachings of Jupiter and Sagittarius and to internalize them. So this is a chance for us, instead of just, talking the talk, to walk the talk of everything we've just learned and to decide what's really true for us and to raise up to a higher level, a higher standard, a higher bar, raise the bar in our own lives. So I think we're going to be looking at that and how that influences our creativity, our value system, our relationships to one another, since we're talking about the Venus influence right now. And Venus in Pisces is about that deeper soulful longing that we have. And, the danger sometimes with an exalted Venus in Pisces is to, since it is the sign of the divine Pisces, to project the divinity onto humans who, of course, will always fail. They're not going to live up to a perfect state of a god or a goddess. So there can be the disillusionment of Venus in Pisces. And we're also having to look at, where our projections get in the way of our relationships, of like being present and just seeing the person in their truth and beauty for who they are as a human, because we're often putting these impossible standards on our relationships and our expectations. So often this is an opportunity to like pull those projections back. They might be amplified in a way with Jupiter stationing and with, since this Venus is going to be speaking with the Jupiter stationing to go retrograde in Sagittarius, I think it's like this is going to be right in our face. So we're going to have to really look at our patterns of projection in relationship, which has been an ongoing theme since we had Mercury retrograde in Pisces. We just came out of the Sun in Pisces and Chiron in Pisces. So here we go. Now we get Venus going through the constellation of Pisces. You can kind of see a story that's evolved. So we had the Sun, we had Chiron. Mercury's still going to be retrograde in Pisces and not clear as shadow until the middle of April. So we're still getting also the information, the knowledge of the Pisces teachings. And then now Venus is going to bring it into our relationship realm, our art, our creativity, beauty realm, love realm, Eros realm. So I feel, if nothing else, with these back-to-back Pisces energies, we're learning so much about Pisces as an energy, as a part of our psychology, which Pisces runs the gamut of everything from, like I said, the divine, the sublime, the devotion, the longings, the escapism, but it can also be about illusions, projection, addiction, victimization. This is the unconscious side of Pisces, wanting to check out. So we have to work on both the shadow aspects always and the conscious aspects. And we have been looking at that with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, like where we, perhaps with Mercury, it could be where we don't have the words, or where we only have a song lyric, or we're expressing in the nonverbal. A lot of it can be more through the energetic realm with Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And now with Venus in Pisces, it can be about really bringing in empathy and compassion and more unconditional love into our approach to ourselves and to others. Of course, again, we're dealing with human beings, so it's not like unconditional love is like we're going to be able to love the way the gods love us unconditionally. We're still going to be struggling with all the imperfections, and how do we forgive the imperfections in ourselves and others with compassion and with grace and with the deepest level of understanding that we can offer in the situation, still being human and still having our own flaws, our own pain, our own history, our own projections, and our own blind spots. So all of this is going to come up. I mean, it's not like, oh, we're in an exalted Venus state, everything's going to be an easy ride now. Although I think there will be a lot more, certainly there'll be, I think, more compassion. The creativity should be off the charts during this time. If you're of a spiritual nature and you have devotional practices, I think you really enjoy the influence of Venus in Pisces for that reason. So there's a lot to look forward to. So anyway, the exact dates of Venus in Pisces, she starts on Tuesday, on the West Coast. She goes in around 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. And then she's going to stay in Pisces until April 20th. She'll enter Aries. And of course, this is tropical zodiac. So we've got a nice chunk of time with that. And as I mentioned, Mercury retrograde, Mercury stationing to go direct on Thursday the 28th. And then Mars is moving into Gemini on the 30th. So there's 3 big shifts happening back to back this week. So we're really in what we call a wobble. And we need more grounding and we need more patience with ourselves and others during this time, because things are a little bit wonky, especially when Mercury's slowing way down. And then Jupiter goes retrograde next month, but he's pretty much stationed right now. I mean, he's just kind of stuck at 24 until he goes retrograde on the 10th of April. He's going retrograde. And then he's still just sitting at that 24-degree mark until he doesn't really get moving until May. He doesn't leave that 24-degree mark until early May. So April's kind of just this stuck energy. If you have any planets at 24 degrees of a mutable sign, you might just be feeling like you're kind of hanging in the balance with that philosophy or with that whatever new wisdom's been imparted to you. You might be really on a quest for truth seeking in that part. It could feel like the hangman archetype in that part of your life, your psyche, or your horoscope. So yeah, it's kind of an intense time right now. We do need a lot of patience, a lot of surrender, and a lot of just kind of seeing what comes next. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with the Mars and Gemini update.